The world stands on a precarious edge. One misstep, one misunderstanding could ignite a nuclear war. The stakes are beyond high, they're existential. The specter of nuclear annihilation looms over every international conflict, casting a shadow that darkens the brightest of days. This is not a dystopian fantasy, it is our reality. In today's interconnected world, the ripple effects of a single nuclear explosion would be felt globally. The sheer destructive power of nuclear weapons is staggering. One bomb can obliterate a city, but the real horror lies in what follows. Radiation sickness, nuclear winter, and the collapse of global systems would ensue. The very fabric of society would be torn apart. Countries hold nuclear arsenals as a deterrent, a grim promise of mutual destruction. Yet this fragile balance could shatter. Geopolitical tensions are rising and the threat of nuclear war is more imminent than ever. Understanding the potential outcomes and advocating for disarmament is crucial for our survival. 3 scenarios could lead us to the brink. First, the ongoing tensions between Russia and NATO and the United States. Historical rivalries and recent conflicts have only deepened mistrust. An accidental clash or a deliberate provocation could set off a chain reaction. Second, China's ambitions regarding Taiwan. Beijing views Taiwan as a breakaway province, while Taiwan sees itself as a sovereign state. The United States has pledged to defend Taiwan. A Chinese invasion could trigger a conflict involving nuclear powers. The stakes are incredibly high. Third, North Korea's unpredictability. The regime's desperation and isolation make it a wild card. Economic sanctions and political pressure could push North Korea to lash out. Their nuclear arsenal, though smaller, is enough to cause unprecedented devastation. These scenarios are not just hypothetical. Each has roots in real-world politics and history. Understanding these potential flashpoints is the first step in preventing a catastrophe. We must address the underlying issues before they escalate beyond control. The tensions between Russia and NATO and the United States are a powder keg. Historical grievances and recent events have only added fuel to the fire. The annexation of Crimea, conflicts in Syria, and cyber attacks have deepened mistrust. Diplomatic efforts have often failed to bridge the gap. A direct military confrontation could be triggered by an incident in Eastern Europe. NATO's presence near Russia's borders is seen as a threat by Moscow. Conversely, NATO views Russian military activities as aggressive. A miscalculation or an accidental engagement could spiral out of control quickly. Russia's nuclear doctrine includes the concept of escalate to de-escalate. This means using nuclear weapons early in a conflict to force adversaries to back down. This doctrine makes any confrontation extremely dangerous. The risk of nuclear engagement is high. To defuse this scenario, diplomatic channels must remain open. Trust-building measures and arms control agreements are vital. Transparency and communication can prevent misunderstandings that might lead to war. The stakes are too high for any other approach. China's stance on Taiwan is uncompromising. Beijing considers Taiwan a part of its territory and has vowed to reunify it with the mainland, by force if necessary. Taiwan, on the other hand, operates as an independent state with its own government and military. The United States has a complex relationship with Taiwan. While not officially recognizing it as a separate country, the United States provides military support. This support is a significant deterrent against Chinese aggression. However, it also increases the risk of conflict. If China were to attack Taiwan, the United States might be compelled to intervene. Such a conflict would not remain localized. It would draw in other regional powers and potentially escalate to a global confrontation. The use of nuclear weapons would become a real possibility. Preventing this scenario requires nuanced diplomacy. Both China and Taiwan need to engage in dialogue. International mediation could help reduce tensions. The world cannot afford a war over Taiwan. The consequences would be catastrophic. Section 5, Chapter 4, North Korea's desperation. North Korea's isolation and desperation make it a significant threat. The regime's survival depends on its nuclear arsenal. Economic sanctions and international pressure have only increased its resolve to maintain and expand its nuclear capabilities. The leadership in Pyongyang is unpredictable. In a bid to assert its power or in response to perceived threats, North Korea could launch a nuclear strike. Such an action would prompt immediate retaliation, leading to widespread devastation. The US and its allies have tried various strategies from sanctions to diplomatic negotiations. However, North Korea's regime has remained defiant. The possibility of a desperate act of aggression cannot be ruled out. The stakes are incredibly high. To mitigate this threat, a multifaceted approach is necessary. Humanitarian aid, diplomatic engagement, and regional cooperation are key. The goal is to reduce North Korea's sense of isolation and threat. Only then can we hope to prevent a nuclear catastrophe. Detection and counterattack. The detection of a missile launch is the first line of defense. These systems detect the heat signature and track its trajectory in real time. Information is relayed to military and political leaders. Rapid response is crucial but increases the risk of hasty decisions. The nuclear briefcase contains the codes needed to authorize a response. These systems are designed to prevent an attack. One false alarm could lead to a disastrous response. Section 7, Chapter 6. The President's Role and the Nuclear Briefcase. The President's role in a nuclear crisis is pivotal. As the Commander-in-Chief, the President has the ultimate authority to launch a nuclear attack. This responsibility is immense, and the decision-making process is highly structured. The nuclear briefcase, or football, is a key component of this process. It is always within reach of the President, carried by a military aide. The briefcase contains secure communication links, authentication codes, and detailed plans for various nuclear scenarios. In a crisis, the President is briefed by military and intelligence officials. They provide real-time information on the threat and potential responses. The President must quickly assess the situation and make a decision. This decision could determine the fate of millions. The weight of this responsibility cannot be overstated. The President's decision must be informed, rational, and timely. The complexity of modern warfare means that this process is fraught with challenges. Ensuring that the President has accurate information and sound advice is crucial. Section 8, Chapter 7, Rapid Decision-Making Process. The decision-making process in a nuclear crisis is incredibly rapid. From detection to response, there are only minutes to act. This urgency is driven by the speed of modern missiles, which can travel thousands of miles in under half an hour. Once a launch is detected, the President is immediately informed. Military and intelligence officials provide a quick briefing. They present the nature of the threat, possible targets, and potential responses. The President must make a decision swiftly. This process is designed to ensure a prompt response to an imminent threat. However, it also increases the risk of errors. A false alarm or misinterpretation could lead to an unnecessary nuclear strike. The pressure on decision-makers is immense. Improving the rapid decision-making process is essential. This includes better detection systems, clearer communication protocols, and robust verification mechanisms. The goal is to prevent hasty decisions that could lead to catastrophic consequences. Section 9, Chapter 8, The Devastating Aftermath. The aftermath of a nuclear war would be catastrophic. Cities reduced to rubble, millions of lives lost, blast, heat, and radiation cause unprecedented devastation. Survivors face a grim reality. Radiation sickness spreads, causing immense suffering. Ruined infrastructure hinders rescue efforts. Potential nuclear winter blocks sunlight. Economy shattered. Social order breaks down. Preventing such a scenario is imperative. Section 10, Chapter 9, Immediate Impacts. The immediate impacts of a nuclear explosion are horrifying. The initial blast would vaporize everything within a certain radius. Buildings, infrastructure, and people would be instantly obliterated. The heat generated would cause severe burns and ignite fires over a vast area. Radiation would be another immediate concern. Those exposed to high levels of radiation would suffer from acute radiation sickness. Symptoms include nausea, vomiting, and severe burns. Many would die within days or weeks. The survivors would face long-term health issues. The shockwave from the explosion would cause further destruction. Buildings outside the initial blast radius would collapse, and debris would be scattered over a wide area. The infrastructure would be crippled, making rescue and recovery efforts challenging. The immediate aftermath would be chaotic. Emergency services would be overwhelmed, and communication networks would be down. The sheer scale of the destruction would make coordination difficult. The priority would be to save as many lives as possible, but the challenges would be immense. Section 11, Chapter 10, Long-Term Effects and Environmental Changes. The long-term effects of a nuclear war would be devastating. The environment would suffer immensely. This could trigger a nuclear winter, collapsing agriculture, leading to global food shortages and famine. Radiation would continue to pose a threat. Health effects on survivors would be long-lasting. Preventing such a scenario is crucial for humanity. Nuclear disarmament and peaceful conflict resolution. The threat of nuclear war is real and terrifying. Immediate destruction and immense human suffering are just the beginning. Nuclear disarmament is a necessity. International treaties play a vital role. Peaceful conflict resolution is equally important. The world must prioritize these approaches. Advocacy, education, and awareness are crucial. Let us work together to ensure a world free of nuclear threat.